And then a few years later, I was diagnosed with stage 3 kidney cancer.
Oh.
And so with that diagnosis, I wasn't one of those people that's like, I'm going to fight this, I'm going to win. I'm like, well, this is it. I've lived a great life. Like, this is it. Right. And I
Mhm.
really believed that I wasn't going to make it through the surgery, which was the complicated surgery based on where the tumor was. And so as I kind of laid there and processed everything, I realized I wasn't laying there with regrets on things I had done. I was laying there with the regrets on all the things I hadn't done. And through that said, okay, if I survive this, I'm going to do every single thing I ever said I was going to do. Every big idea,
Mm.
plan, everywhere I said I was going to travel. Like, if I survive this, I'm going to figure out a way to do every one of those things. And
Yes.
spoiler alert, I survived. And that's kind of what started my journey into aviation.
Welcome to the She Roars podcast. My name is Jennifer, your host, and I believe this episode is going to be such a special one because let me tell you, have you ever dreamed have a big vision and dream in your life, but you just seem like it cannot be possible. It cannot happen because how is it going to happen? How is the layout going to happen? How's the provisions going to happen? But let me tell you, this episode is for you to be encouraged to believe for the impossible when you dream big. Listen, I believe that this testimony will encourage you as a woman that to be able to know you can be unstoppable and limits can be removed. So I want to introduce you to a special guest that I have here on the show that I'm so honored to welcome. Her name is Tia Minzoni. She is the CEO of Stella Jet Brands, a Dallas-based private aviation powerhouse and one of the few female owned firms in this elite industry. Since acquiring the company in 2022, Kia has transformed it into a national luxury network, leading brands like Stella Jets and Stella Experiences. A visionary leader and multi-million dollar growth strategist, Tia has disrupted a male dominant space with innovation, excellence, and a heart for female empowerment. Her story is one of faith, resilience, courage, and calling, and I cannot wait for you to hear the wisdom she's about to pour into your life today. So, welcome, Tia, to the show.
Thank you. What a wonderful introduction. Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you so much for taking the time to be here. Let's start off with was there a pivotal moment in your life where you realized your calling as a leader and entrepreneur? Is this something that you had in mind, like I wanted to do, or is it something that
Mhm.
you had a pivotal moment about?
Both really. I think I lived 6 lives at least before I got into aviation, but I'm very much introverted and still always became the leader in all situations, whether it was business or personal life. And so I knew that I had, a calling to do that. But I also really felt this is just going right into it, right? But I felt like, I always felt like God will provide. Even in the hardest times, I knew that at, you know, at one point God is going to step in and he's going to provide. So I kind of always have felt like two things. One, if you made me a leader and you have work that you want me to do, I'll always be open to it. And that was my relationship and my conversation with God. And even if it was uncomfortable, if I felt that this is what path that was chosen for me, I was going to jump in.
Beautiful, because it can be definitely scary in the moment of, okay, are you really calling me for this? Like it's very it's scary because it's a new path that
Yeah.
we never experience, but it's knowing that when God calls you to it, he will anoint you and he will make the path straight and the provision always follows. And how did your journey to become a CEO in a male dominated industry in aviation began, and what challenges did you face early on?
So it wasn't quite straightforward. It wasn't like, you know what, there's a male dominated industry and I'm going to break down the doors and I'm going to do everything. I had, like I said, many lives, many career paths had helped many companies scale, their own businesses. And I love doing it. I love helping people. I also do a lot of charity work and I'll say, okay, this terrible thing is happening. God, let me be your hands. Just kind of have done so many things in the past and been fairly successful. Well, when this came about, it was a need that my daughter had actually gotten a dog that by 3 months old was 50 pounds, could not fly with us anymore. And that's when I got introduced to private aviation
Wow.
about it before then. My grandmother loved airplanes. I loved airplanes, but I was never really in the demographic to be introduced to this world. And so I said, you know what? One day I'm going to buy a private jet and we're going to be able to fly anywhere we want with our dog. And my dog's never going in cargo and this stuff. And it was kind of one of those statements, like you say, when I win the lottery, I'm going to do X. And
Yes,
mindset for
like
right.
that.
And so from there, everything that I did in business, I did a lot of research behind it. So I started playing around, researching a little bit, never fully believing that this is something that I was actually called to do at that point in time. And then a few years later, I was diagnosed with stage 3 kidney cancer.
Oh.
And so with that diagnosis, I wasn't one of those people that's like, I'm going to fight this, I'm going to win. I'm like, well, this is it. I've lived a great life. Like, this is it, right? And I
Mhm.
really believed that I wasn't going to make it through the surgery, which was the complicated surgery based on where the tumor was. And so, as I kind of laid there and processed everything, I realized I wasn't laying there with regrets on things I had done. I was laying there with the regrets on all the things I hadn't done. And through that, said, okay, if I survive this, I'm going to do every single thing I ever said I was going to do. Every big idea,
Mm,
plan, everywhere I said I was going to travel. Like, if I survive this, I'm going to figure out a way to do every one of those things. And
yes.
spoiler alert, I survived. And that's kind of what started my journey into aviation.
That is such a beautiful testimony of you survived the cancer, you overcame it, and now you're walking into the assignments and your purpose, and you are a true miracle of a living testimony. And that really pushed you to the direction that you needed to go. Instead of putting you down, it's like, when I get out of this, I'm gonna do this, this, and that. Not gonna stop until I accomplish it. You were very determined, and I love that. That was just a breaking through moment for you in your business and your personal life that completely shifted the perspective of the trajectory of your life, correct?
Yeah, for sure. As I pondered all of this and processed, cancer and everything, and had many, many talks, with God. It was like one of the conversations that I feel like we had was God will give you everything you ask for, but he's not giving you more than that. So why are you not asking for more? God didn't say you can
Mhm.
only ask me for up to this amount. You can only
Right.
ask me to provide what you absolutely need, but don't ask for any more, right? And
Yeah.
as I'm processing and clearly, I'm, reading the Bible and just kind of going through all these things. And the message to me was, I've always provided what you've asked for, but you've never asked for these things. Like, why not? You are
Wow.
my daughter. You can do big things. Like, ask me and you'll receive. And so
Amen.
it lead me into, doing much bigger things and not limiting myself through some misguided humbleness, right?
Yes, because we could be like, "No, I wanna stay humble, I don't wanna ask for more, it seems like I'm greedy, and I don't want to," and just that fear of asking. When was that shift for you when you broke that limited belief of I'm gonna ask for more, I wanna ask for more, like, when was that shift for you?
I think for me, it was coming to the realization through ministry, through encouraging podcasts like this one, realizing that there's no cap on God's bank account, and just because I have more doesn't mean someone else has less. And I think
Mhm.
a lot of times we feel like if we're asking for a lot, that we're taking from people that need it. And that's just not true because as God's children, the more we have, the more we can give to other people who need it.
Yes.
That level yet to understand that, God's bank account is vast. And to have more doesn't mean that someone else has less. It means that we can do more and we can do more good and we can do more of God's work. And it's not something where if we have, they don't. It's the exact opposite.
Amen, amen. And it's also an opportunity to give more, to be a blessing to others, not just thinking of getting my needs met. No, it's there's so much more. And God is a God of abundance, not lack. And I know with people that are being raised or have been raised in a poverty mindset or in a poverty environment, that asking for more and believing for more, it can be a struggle. So it's about renewing our mindset and believing for a full mindset transformation and have an open heart to receive and not ask our Heavenly Father for more because nothing is impossible for Him. As a cancer survivor, how has your personal resilience shaped your leadership style and approach to your business growth?
I sometimes I say I don't know how to give up, and sometimes I wish I did. Being an entrepreneur, having a startup, doing innovative things, we're doing things that have never been done before. We didn't just come in and build a copy of other businesses in our industry. We're doing things that have never been done before, which I think is, that really leads to bringing diversity into any
Mhm.
vertical, right? Or any industry. So when you bring in a new type of person, a new type of thought, we just do things differently, and you see that
Yes.
industry start to grow. So I think that that has led a lot to where we are now.
Beautiful, because I truly see you as a pioneer just starting and not like you mentioned, not copying other companies, but as you're starting, you're creating a momentum. How was that journey of finding a private jet company and partnering with them or even like owning one in your process? How was that?
I mean, it's been, a lot of learning on the job, if you will.
Mhm.
Everybody in the industry, most everybody, I guess I will say, have been great. They've been very helpful. They've really welcomed us. It's not one of those things where people were like, oh, we don't want women in this industry. I think it's been more that we just never, just like me, I never ever thought about even flying private, much less owning a private jet company. So I really just think it's exposure. And for me, I try a lot to have the biggest exposure I can. It's uncomfortable for me. I'm not an in front of the camera person. I'm a behind the scenes, hard business, hair in a bun, kind of person. But I realize how important it is for us to show that these things are possible. Because for
Yes.
me, as a young woman, I never saw any women in aviation. I never knew people that were flying private other than like my male business, bosses and counterparts. And it seems so unreachable. So for me coming into this industry, I've been really passionate about making sure that we are out there, we are being seen, we are putting the
Yes.
story out there so that young women, young girls can aspire and realize this is something, that they can touch if they want to. They can be pilots, they can be airplane mechanics, like, CEOs, whatever it is. So, along the path, there's been a lot of learning curve in aviation as a whole because it was a new industry to me.
Mhm.
Our passion and our purpose behind what we're doing just really drives us to make sure that we, make all the right connections and touch all the right people.
Beautiful, because you said mentioned something so key, and it's about exposure. Exposing yourself with people that already are there, that your interests, you have those desires, and not diminish those desires. Like you mentioned, you just said, one day I'm gonna fly private and own my own private plane. Like it's not random. It's not random. It's there for a reason. The desires are there for a reason. But if you don't expose yourself in rooms and speak to people that are there, you're not gonna see yourself in that position. I know the women that are listening right now with this message that we're talking in our conversation, they're like, wow, I didn't know this was possible. I didn't know. I never heard of a woman owning a private jet company. Like, this is a first. For the women that are interested, this is sparking something in me that I never desired or thought of doing, but I want to look into this. I want to look into owning my own private aviation. What are your recommendations or advice on starting into this
I
field?
think it really starts with what you mentioned earlier. What callings are you having? I believe if God has put a vision in your head, it's achievable. And we as human beings decide it's not, right? We
Hmm.
decide that's crazy. I could never do that.
Yeah.
if it's been put in your mind, there's a reason, that's a seed. So I would say before hearing this story and thinking, "Oh, I wanna do what she is doing," really sit with what has God called you upon?
Exactly.
What's the biggest, craziest, wildest dream that you have, and what's stopping you from doing that? For
Mhm.
me, this was one of those things that I thought was unreachable, and after I had my kidney removed and I was recovering from that surgery, I sat down and I made a list of everything that was stopping me from going after my biggest dream, which was where I am now. And as I made the list and it was like, well, you need money. Well, I know how to make money. Scratch that off. Well, you need to know about aviation. Well, I have a computer. I know how to learn. Scratch that off. And I realized that every single obstacle that made me think this was an unreachable, an unattainable goal, my face was on every single one. And I was the
Wow.
me. And that's when I decided that there was nothing that could stop me because, everything there was objections that I came up with myself and
Mhm.
I was overcome them. So even if you just have the faith of a mustard seed, look at what is your biggest dream, your biggest calling. Forget about winning the lottery. Put it down on paper. What's it going to take to get there? And
Mhm.
then talk to yourself and realize that between you and the highest power, you are the daughter of a God. Like, what is going to get in your way? What's going to stop you? And just realize that
Yes.
you do have that power and, start step by step walking into your power.
Amen. That is so good because we could be our worst enemies. We could be our worst roadblock from moving forward into what God is calling us to pursue and really remove the limits. Like you mentioned, write the vision, make it plain, and run with it. Because if we don't write the vision and we don't really put that faith in it and then action, because faith without works is dead,
Mhm.
we're just gonna be stagnant, we're just gonna be stuck, and it's gonna be year after year, you're just going around the mountain, and these unbelief and self-doubt, low self-esteem, and just lack of faith. It's time to break the cycle. It's time to stop going around the same mountain over and over again and be knowing that you are a daughter of the Most High King, and those desires, those dreams that He placed inside of you is for you to give birth to, not to keep it to yourself. For the Stella Jet Brands is known for its lifestyle first approach. How do you blend hospitality, luxury, and business strategy to stand out?
A luxury, obviously, with private jets, you automatically think of luxury, right? But most of our clients fly because they have a necessity. They need to get to 2 meetings in one day to close multi-million-dollar contracts. When people start flying private, it's because their time has become more valuable, than the dollar even. So they know if they can get to 2 meetings in one day, they can close $20 million, and that flight only costs them 20,000. That makes a lot of sense. With our other brands like Stella Experiences, which is something that no one else in the industry is doing, we actually do private jet experiences with celebrity meet and greets, VIP, take them to events as VIPs, masterminds in the sky. We do brand experiences. My background in marketing and helping businesses scale through marketing, a lot of that comes with data. And the data now shows that you cannot use the same mundane marketing. Your marketing has to be legendary. And so with Stella Experiences, that's our motto, like make every moment legendary. And so,
Beautiful.
we're doing a lot of things. We have our core business that's transportation, our clients that need to get from A to B. It's not about toasting champagne on the plane, it's about necessity. And then we have the fun side. We have the Stella experiences where brands and partner with celebrities and they'll be able to raffle off seats to fly with XYZ celebrity to Coachella or F1. Such fun things, and everybody wins. The community wins. It gets to be involved with it. There's a win in marketing for the brand. And for us, it's just where we believe that marketing and aviation meet. So it's really a lot of fun to do that.
I love that, and it's just creating value to the customers that come in and being an unforgettable experience that they will always remember. That is
Yeah.
so beautiful. I know you and your daughter are disrupting the aviation industry together, which I love, a mother-daughter relationship. How has mentorship and female empowerment played a role in your success?
You know, that is a good question. And I think it continues to play a role in my everyday life, whether it's success as a parent or a grandparent or in business. My daughter is the youngest of I have five children, and she's the youngest. She started interning with me a long time ago. 13 years now we've been working together. And even her support and her mentorship comes back to me. It's not just one sided.
Mhm.
Then I have friends like, Vina Jetty. She's done over $1 billion in real estate investments. And she's so pro woman and so supportive and has a different education and a different experience than I have. Even though she's younger than me, she's a big mentor as well. And so, I think every day having those really strong, solid relationships with
Yes.
women in your life. Not every woman is the right woman to be
Right.
your
And
mentor in your life. When you reach certain levels, there are a lot of people that want to get involved but don't have the right intentions. Friendships and mentorships in both directions, I think feeds us. What do they say? The teacher makes the best student or some.
mhm.
And so being not only open to be a mentor, but to receive mentorship from all different levels around you, I think is just a huge factor into how we can grow.
Yes, and I agree because community and is so essential. Community and being surrounded by powerhouses that's going to encourage you, that's going to cheer you on. That there's no competition, there's no envy, there's no
Right.
jealousy. Having a safe space to be able to learn together, to grow together, make mistakes, and be able to overcome that. How can we collaborate? Can we work together? Or have you been through this process? You tell me, please share some wisdom of what I can do. Because I know with you learning about aviation, it was a new language, it was a new industry that you never thought or imagined being walking in it, but it was a learning process that you
Mhm.
needed powerhouses to help you to push you towards that.
Exactly.
And what advice will you give women who feel called to break into industries or roles where they may be the only one in the room?
First, I would say don't come up with your own expectations of what you're going to receive once you're in that room. Even through my marketing career, I was the only woman at so many executive tables. I remember being at one of these tables and I was the only woman, and it was probably 20 people in the room, all executive leaders. We're all talking about where the future of the company is going. This is a nearly $1 billion media company. And one of the guys sitting next to me said, "Don't you feel lucky to be the only woman at this table?" And I said, "No, I feel terrible, because I know
Mm,
there's so many more women that deserve some of these seats over
yes.
here." Don't always think that it's men holding us back. I think it's women thinking we don't deserve this spot, thinking we're not gonna get it, thinking that those men want to hold us back, when really that's an objection that we've come up with on our own. So, that's what I would say is actually make before you decide that there's gonna be, roads to cross or hard doors to get through, knock. You never know. They may just open the door. That's the experience that we've had at least.
So good. Knock and the door will be open to you. It's like you never know until you knock. That is so encouragement because as a woman is knowing that you have permission. You have permission. Nobody's holding you back. You have permission to go in these rooms and be able to represent kingdom and be a light in the darkness. So, as we wrap up, Tia, because this has been such an encouragement and this has been such a light of, and I pray that the women listening are being activated, they are being unlocked. You have permission to dream big, have big visions, and not be afraid to pursue it, to take action. So, what is next for Stella Jet Brands and for you personally? And what exciting projects or goals you have in the horizon for 2026?
2026, we are so focused on our brand experiences. We have so many fun things coming up in the industry. My goal is always just to make everybody as much money as possible because I know that's what really expands our reach and fuels our missions. And before I got into aviation, I've always done Christmas programs, adopted, teens or
That's
adopted families.
amazing.
And last year, along with the world's largest toy drive, we actually gave out over 12,000 gifts to children.
Wow.
5 years ago, we adopted, I think, maybe 30 children, and this year it's
So
hundreds. And so
beautiful.
for me, everything that we're able to do from encouraging and inspiring other women to reaching out to children and all of that stuff is just all about spreading the love, spreading the wealth. So the more we can multiply, the better. The more water we can turn into wine, straw, we
Yes, come on.
and keep trying for everybody out there. And it's not, I'm very much someone who feels like it's no fun to win unless we all win. And so this year, it's just seeing how many people we can bring into the fold to win along with Stella experiences.
Beautiful, beautiful. And how can people connect with you? And also, what is your website and how people can be able to work with you if they want to have a private jet for their mastermind, for their business meeting? Where they find out more?
Yeah, our main website is stellajets.com, and you can get to Stella experiences through that website as well. And our brands are on Instagram mostly as well. So anywhere there, they can connect with us.
Beautiful. And thank you so much, Tia, for sharing your testimony and being such a light and really pushing us to be able to know that for God, nothing is impossible, to be able to dream big and know that you have permission to write the vision and take some action to where God is calling you next. So thank you, Tia, for coming to the show. And thank you, ladies. Please share this message to your sisters, to your besties that really needs this encouragement that probably have this huge vision that they're delaying to take action to being able to know when they hear this testimony. I pray that you will be activated, your faith will be activated, and know that you are called for such a time as this. So remember, ladies, to come out of hiding and release your roar. And I'll see you on the next one.